Hello everyone, and thank you so much for attending the third and the final installment of the Youth for Youth Gambling Education Program. This PowerPoint is entitled When Technology Meets Gambling. Essentially what we're going to be discussing in this PowerPoint are the contest topics in more detail and just some expectations when it comes to both the video and the posters. At this point in time, I'd like to talk about first the overarching theme of the Y for Y contest. That theme is the unconventional forms of gambling. Now, in the next slide, I'm going to outline to you all 4 different questions. The intent is that you choose one of those questions in which you will explore and you will discover more information pertaining to the topic. You will conduct some research, and then you will present your ideas in a creative and fun fashion in the form of a video and a poster. Now, as promised, here are the 4 contest questions. You are to choose one of the following topics to discuss in more detail. The first question is, discuss the ways in which paying to unlock a loot box, loot crate, or mystery chest can be considered a form of gambling. The second question, discuss how the freemium model can present itself in a way that is similar to gambling. Third question, discuss how casino-style activities found in video games blur the lines between gaming and gambling. And finally, how might betting on the outcome of an esports game, which are games of skill, blur the lines between gaming and gambling? Now, a little later on in this presentation, we are going to explore each of these questions and provide some more insight as to the question itself, as well as some applicable harm reduction strategies. So make sure that you sort of have an idea of what question you want to answer, so when we get to that section of the video, you'll be able to really learn from it. Alright, so let's explore that first question. Loot crates, loot boxes, mystery chests. Just to reiterate again, the question itself is, discuss the ways in which a loot box, loot crate, mystery chest can be considered a form of gambling. Now, the above terms are all considered digital containers which can be purchased with real money, which contains unknown items that the player can then use in-game. So, loot crates are a very enticing way for an individual to enrich their overall gaming experience. These chests usually contain custom appearances, presenting often in the form of skins, that the player can use to make their character appear different from others. At times, there are other advantages to these chests, such as certain play advantages, better weapons, increased stats, that type of thing. So how can these digital containers or loot crates generate confusion in regards to gambling? Well, as we know, the definition of gambling is risking something of value and not knowing whether you will win or you will lose. So you are purchasing this loot crate with real money, and it contains unknown items that range in rarity. You've got extremely valuable items, and then you have some not so valuable items. Some of them are more common than others. And you are not guaranteed anything simply because you spent real money. Video games that use loot crates advertise the best that you can get from the loot crate to entice you. Now, this is very similar to playing the lottery. You are enticed with the grand prize you could win. However, you could either win a different prize from the grand prize, such as a free play or $5, or you could win nothing. You never know what you are going to win just because you bought a lottery ticket. Some loot boxes require you to buy keys first in order to then open them. So, consider this. Does that make the act of loot box unlocking more like gambling? The creators of games will purposely give you far more free loot boxes than keys, so that you might eventually have 10 loot boxes but only 1 key. As such, you're then going to have to buy keys in order to open the loot boxes. So let's look at some applicable harm reduction strategies that one can employ to stay safe when engaging in the act of loot crate unlocking. And no, I do not necessarily mean stay physically safe, I mean do something responsibly. So, first you can research the odds of the loot crate you are about to purchase. There are some companies out there that actually release the probability of getting certain items, so make sure you look them up. Also, some companies will indicate what the loot box contains, so you're not necessarily buying something not knowing what you could get. These companies might say you can get this skin, this item, or this emote, something interesting in the loot crate, and they will make it known to the players. If you buy a loot crate, you can hope to win the skin you really want, but you should expect that you probably will not get exactly what you want. So as long as you've told yourself this and you've reminded yourself that you're doing this for fun, there's no real harm in buying a loot box. If you buy loot crates, just make sure you spend money from your entertainment budget. This is outlined in the previous video that we've uploaded, and it's an important thing to remember that you should be spending money from your entertainment budget so you can keep it fun, you can keep it a non-stressful activity. Alrighty, so let's dive right into the second question. Discuss how the freemium model can present itself in a way that is similar to gambling. So, just to reiterate, the freemium model is when you start playing a game for free with the option to pay to unlock additional features or continue playing once the user has used up all of their lives. And then as you can see, there's a picture of Candy Crush because that is a very well-known freemium model style game. So let's look at how the freemium model can resemble gambling. First off, purchasing another life in a game gives you a chance to play the level another time. It does not guarantee that you will win the level. So, does this make the freemium model more closely related to gambling or not? And that's a question for you to consider maybe in your video and poster. Also, consider the definition of gambling, risking something of value and not knowing whether you will win or you will lose. If you pay to continue to play and you do not know if you will win or lose, did you just gamble? Again, that's just another question you might want to consider in your submissions. At the end of the day, the decision is yours whether to wait or pay to go forward, but the decision does not impact the outcome of the game. Whether you're paying or you're waiting, whatever happens next cannot be 100% controlled. There is always an element of chance. There's that popular game that we mentioned before, Candy Crush, and you cannot control what set of candies you're going to get. Just like how in an arcade you might pay to play a video game there, but just because you paid doesn't mean you're going to be 100% successful at the video game. You're paying for a chance to win a level. So let's look at some more harm reduction strategies that somebody could use to stay safe when they're playing a freemium style game. Consider the options that are given to wait to play again. So some of these freemium model games will have various ways that you can progress to move forward. So they may say you can purchase a life to move forward, you can watch an advertisement and then progress, you can invite a friend to play and then maybe you can play again, or you can wait, say, 12 hours in order to play again. So just consider all of those before you make an impulse decision to pay. So balance the game with other activities. Perhaps while you wait for another life, you go outside or you socialize with friends and family. So while your life is sort of recuperating and you're waiting for another chance to play, you go and you do something else that's fun to you. Remember to spend from your entertainment budget only, and be careful when connecting a credit card to these games because sometimes they might automatically charge you, or you might accidentally click purchase another life, or there's just a variety of things that might happen if you have a credit card attached to these games. So just maybe consider not using a credit card. So let's explore the third question. Discuss how casino-style activities found in video games blur the line between gaming and gambling. So some video games offer an opportunity to play casino-style games of chance to win in-game advantages. They may give the option to spin a wheel every 12 hours for additional in-game advantages. There are other variations of this, such as roulette, picking a card, or slot machine-style activities. The in-game spinning of a wheel, for instance, might be an incentive you receive every 12 hours, or something that can be accessed whenever you have enough of the in-game funds to play. For instance, if you collect 10 rare gems as you play a game, you might be given the opportunity to then bet those 10 gems in a game, such as spinning a wheel. So you give 10 gems and you spin a wheel. You take a chance because if you get the best item on the wheel, you might become one of the better players of the game. So you're willing to take that chance because it's something that you really, really want. You want to be a better player. Or even maybe there's incentives such as bet your 10 gems and you could win 100 gems. So there's incentive that could be found in games. And then sometimes you're even able to put funds into the game and then bet those funds all within the video game. And then consider how that might get confusing because it's a game of chance inside of a game of skill and how those lines might get blurred. So, can casino-style activities found in video games blur the line between gaming and gambling? Now, consider the following in the creation of your submissions, as they might help you along in sort of developing some content to talk about. So, could an activity that resembles a casino-style game, such as slot machines, lucky cards, or spinning a wheel, blur the line between gaming and gambling if found in a video game? How might risking in-game currency on a game of chance resemble gambling? Why might video game designers only allow for players to spin a wheel once every 12 hours for free? Many games allow you to pay real currency to spin the wheel more times than just the free spin. So if you spin a wheel and then it says you have to wait 12 hours, it might also say, but you could pay $2 to spin it again, and it sort of entices the player that game. The player does have an opportunity to win additional in-game bonuses, items, or currency when they engage in these casino-style games, such as the spinning of the wheel, for instance, but it's chance-based, and it's found in a video game which is often reported skill-based. So it then creates confusion, and the line becomes blurred between gaming and gambling. And then you need to consider the audience of the game. So if it's youth, they might then grow up or go forward thinking, oh wow, I spun a wheel in a video game, so it must be skill-based, and I can get better because it's a video game, and if I practice video games, I can get better. So if I practice spinning this wheel or picking this card, I'm going to get better because it's in a video game. And it's just one of those things where you need to consider the implications that it might have in the long run. Again, let's consider some of these harm reduction approaches that you can take to stay safe when playing these in-game casino-style games. Think about only utilizing the free spin that the game gives you every X amount of hours. So if it only gives you a free spin every 10 hours, only spin the wheel every 10 hours. If you do choose to spend money from your entertainment budget. If there's an option to use your earned in-game currency, consider using that, as it could be easier to earn. And also ensure that you do not connect your credit card to your game, otherwise it might automatically withdraw funds or you might accidentally charge it to your credit card. Just be careful. Now, one of the newer trends on the scene are esports, which are games of skill versus games of chance. So the question we posed was, how might betting on the outcome of an esports game, which are games of skill, blur the lines between gaming and gambling? So esports are competitive video game matches between teams to determine who the best players of that game are. The outcome of these games are often bet on, similar to sports betting. So, how might betting on esports blur the lines between gambling and gaming? First, esports are video game competitions. As we know, video games are games of skill. To place a bet on the outcome of a video game is taking a chance. So how might things get confusing then when you bet on the outcome of a video game? There are many variables that could interfere with the outcome of a video game competition, and I'll explore some of those for you all in a little bit. Though it is a game of skill, there's variables that might still impact the outcome of a game. So what might these variables be, and how will they impact the outcome? So I'll give you a scenario. Two teams compete in a tournament against one another. Team A has one of the best players ever on that game. So you bet on Team A. You say, I'm going to put $20 down, and I bet that Team A will come out on top because they have a fantastic player. However, halfway into the game, Team A's best player gets ill and he has to forfeit, and then the entire team has to forfeit because they can't play the game with only 5 team members. And as such, Team B wins and you just lost the bet. The above is a very basic example of how external variables may influence the game, though it had nothing to do with the actual game itself. These variables always have to be considered when placing a bet. The best player might get sick halfway through the game, or he might not. Team A's computers might crash in the middle of the game, or they might not. A member of Team A might quit before the big match, or they may not. These variables are all chance related and show that there is no guaranteed outcome of placing a bet on a video game competition. As such, it could be considered a form of gambling. You also then have to consider the youth who might play games and want to engage in esports betting today. It's not the traditional form of gambling. It's not what you'd see in a casino. So you need to consider that there are these new emerging and different opportunities made available to youth. So again, let's look at some applicable harm reduction strategies. If you would like to participate in esports betting, make sure you bet with friends and family and people that you trust. to reduce the risk of fraud. Ensure that you are spending money from your entertainment budget. Only bet for fun. Do not bet expecting to win a lot of money. Fun little saying is hope to win, expect to lose. And if you're betting, make sure that the site you are using is trustworthy. None of these betting sites are actually regulated, so you need to make sure that you are going into it, if you choose to bet, with as much information on the website as possible, so there's no big surprises for you. Alrighty, so let's move into the quality of your submission. So the following is simply just information that's going to ensure that your submission meets the standards of the contest organizers. As we've mentioned in the contest rules, we do have 2 juries, as well as a public vote and the screening process, all of which takes place. So just making sure that the quality of your submission is up to those juries' standards will really help you in the creation of your video as well as your poster. And hopefully it will alleviate any concerns you have regarding the 2. Alright, so let's start with some poster information. So the poster requires a 300 DPI. All images used on the posters must be yours and copyright free. So if you are a winner of this contest, your poster will actually be advertised in a public space, either a bus shelter or a TTC station poster, so that's really exciting. However, we want to make sure that the pictures on your poster and the fonts are all legally yours to use, meaning that you have purchased the images perhaps on Shutterstock or you've bought the rights to the font. There's a lot of free fonts out there, so just do some research and figure out if you don't want to spend money on this project, you can just look to see what's free and copyright free to use. Posters also must be vertical. The reason for this is that most bus shelters as well as TTC station posters are vertical, and it's much easier to work with a poster that has already been designed to fit a vertical canvas than it is a horizontal one. The following are the dimensions of the advertised poster. So as mentioned prior, your poster could potentially be advertised if you are a winner of this contest. So please make sure that your poster uses high quality images because the final advertised product will be 57 inches wide and 68 inches high. So when it comes to the content, the words that you choose to put on your poster, you can consider some of the following. These next couple of slides might give you a better idea of what we are expecting. You can use this information directly, or you can find your own information and run it by us. So please include relevant referral information. So an example being Connects Ontario. Ensure that your poster displays a message that is relevant to the question you answered in your video. So if you did a video on the freemium model, your poster needs to reflect that message and not be about, say, esports. You don't want to have a conflicting message on both your video and your poster. Make them similar. That also might give you some more inspiration and really help you to stay consistent with accurate and reliable information. Additional information that you might want to consider including are some harm reduction strategies, as mentioned prior, some statistics, and any relevant and interesting facts that you found in your research. So again, if you have any hesitations along the way, you are by all means free to reach out to the contest organizer, whose email and information is available both on the Y4Y webpage as well as the contest rules, and get some clarification. So at this point in time, I'd like to just provide some more potential poster content, and I'm just going to read this off, and if you like the sound of it, you think it fits with your video or your other ideas, feel free to use it. So involvement in gambling activities at an early stage is considered a risk factor for the development of problem gambling. By having skill and chance in a video game, players may falsely think they can get better at games of chance, such as gambling, with practice. Small but significant correlation was found between the number of hours spent playing video games and the severity of problem gambling. And then just a couple last points on the final slide relating to poster are children who regularly play video games exhibit a false sense of confidence and security and take greater risks and gamble larger amounts. And 20% of adults and adolescents who play on free gambling sites move to online commercial gambling in an attempt to win money. Now, if you're here and you're thinking, why did they just read me all of those weird statistics and facts? Well, this all pertains to a majority, if not all, of the contest topics. And we just want to make sure that we can set all participants up for success. So again, if you feel like, oh, that point's really relevant to what I want to discuss, by all means use it. Consider maybe turning one of these points, one of these facts, into a contest theme that you discuss when answering your question. There's various ways that you can utilize this information, as well as information that you might research yourself, in ensuring the success of your submissions. Again, I'm just going to reiterate that if at any time you have any questions whatsoever, reach out to us. So now I'm just going to provide you all with some video information. Please ensure that the video is between 720 and 1080 progressive scan. And this is just to ensure that the quality is high enough to be displayed in HD, as well as to be displayed on our Y4Y webpage and our various forms of social media. Also ensure that the file format is AVI, MOV, or MP4. And this is just to ensure that the video can be properly viewed in an HD formatting, as well as it can be properly accessed by contest organizers. If you though have any questions pertaining to the preferred file format, or you find it easiest to use another file format, all you have to do is let us know prior to your submission, and we will let you know if this is going to work for us all. Hopefully we can find some middle ground. Make sure that your video is no longer than 90 seconds, which is 1 minute and 30 seconds. If your video is longer than this, it will unfortunately be disqualified. So we're just going to finish this video with some additional information. So first and foremost, ensure that the question you choose is answered fully in your video. Now, if you need to use additional resources, by all means do it. Do whatever you think necessary to prove your point and answer the question. However, we ask that you remember that you are meant to be gambling neutral, meaning that in your answer, you're not going to outright say gambling is bad, nor are you going to actively encourage it. You give the audience the tools needed to make a smart and educated decision. With the question you select, remember to integrate harm reduction strategies. Similar to how it was done in this video, in which I explored the contest topic and then introduced some harm reduction strategies after. However, I have faith that you will all do a much better job in ensuring the creativity and presentation of these harm reduction strategies in relation to the question you choose to answer. Ensure that the visuals and the acting is appropriate and relevant for the audience of your video, which for this competition is primarily 15 to 24 years of age. However, your videos will become a resource and be used to display to the general public a little bit more about what gambling-related prevention could entail, aside from just the traditional forms of gambling. With that being said, all actors shown in your video are required to be over the age of 18. And finally, if you have any additional questions pertaining to the actors, the content, or what have you, refer to the contest rules section, and it provides additional regulations around performing and content of your videos. As always, we like to end our videos with help and referral information. So I've included the number to Connects Ontario and to Kids Help Phone, which you can call past the age of 18. I've also included CAMH's treatment services, Game Quitters, Stop Gaming, which is a Reddit forum post, Online Gamers Anonymous, and Children's Mental Health of Ontario. All of this information is something you should also be including in your poster and video, as it serves as good referral information. I want to take this opportunity to thank you all very much for listening to this video, and I'm very much looking forward to the submissions that I will be receiving.